Let me paint you a picture. It's a massive military parade in Beijing. You've got these deadly weapons rolling by, but two of the most powerful leaders on Earth aren't just talking about geopolitics. Nope, they're talking about living forever. It was this fascinating and frankly pretty wild glimpse into a future that might be a lot closer than any of us think.
So you have Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, both in their 70s, and as they're watching this whole spectacle, the conversation shifts to mortality. Xi just drops this bombshell, predicting that someone born this century could easily see their 150th birthday. But this wasn't just some random musing. It was actually a response to an even crazier claim from Putin.
Putin's idea was that we could basically achieve a kind of biological immortality just by swapping out our organs as they get old and worn down. Now, you have to wonder, is this just talk between two aging leaders, or is there actually any science to back this up? Could we really just replace our parts and keep on living? That's the exact question we're going to unpack right now.
All right, so let's dive right into Putin's idea. I mean, organ transplants are obviously life-saving miracles for people who need them. But using them as an anti-aging strategy, well, that runs into some really big real-world roadblocks.
First off, a transplant is a massive, brutal operation your body has to be strong enough to even survive. And it doesn't just end there. To stop your body from attacking the new organ, you have to take these powerful immunosuppressant drugs for the rest of your life. And here's the really cruel irony. The very drugs that keep you alive also jack up your risk of deadly infections, cancer, and heart disease, which could actually shorten your life, not extend it. And oh yeah, there's the tiny problem that we have a massive organ shortage already.
So yeah, it's pretty clear that just using donor organs is not the path to living to 150. But that reality pushes us toward a much more interesting question. What if we didn't need donors at all? What if we could just create brand new, custom-made organs on demand?
Well, science is racing down two incredible paths to try and solve this exact problem. The first one is called xenotransplantation. And yeah, that's a mouthful, but it basically means using organs from animals, specifically pigs. The second path is even more futuristic, growing entire organ structures from the ground up in a lab using the power of stem cells.
And get this isn't science fiction anymore. Scientists are using gene editing to create pigs whose organs are basically made to be compatible with a human body. They go in, they snip out harmful pig genes, they turn off viruses that are hiding in the pig's DNA, and they add human genes to make sure our bodies don't reject the organ. It's already led to successful pig kidney transplants in 2 living patients, and the FDA has given the green light for a clinical trial. The supply problem could, theoretically be solved.
The other approach is even wilder. We just build the organs ourselves. Researchers have figured out how to take different kinds of kidney stem cells, mix them together, and grow them into this structure they call an assembloid. Then they transplant that little structure into a mouse, and once it's inside a living host, it starts to mature, grow blood vessels, and even shows early signs of actually working, like filtering blood. It is a huge leap towards building fully functional, synthetic organs.
But replacing parts? That's one thing. What if we could get to the actual root cause of aging? What if, instead of swapping out the entire engine, we could just repair it at the most fundamental level? I'm talking about the level of our very own cells.
Okay, so let's talk about a key part of aging called cellular senescence. As we get older, some of our cells get damaged, and they enter this really weird state where they stop dividing, but they also refuse to die. They literally become zombie cells. They just hang around, leaking this toxic soup of inflammatory signals that damages all the healthy tissue around them, and that just speeds up the whole aging process.
Now look at this. This slide shows the incredible effect of new drugs called senolytics, which are designed to hunt down and destroy these zombie cells. On the left, you see one drug by itself has a kind of meh effect on the zombie cells. Those are the dark circles. But now look at the chart on the right. When you combine it with a second drug, boom! The zombie cells are almost completely wiped out, and the healthy cells are totally fine. It's like a targeted missile strike against one of the core engines of aging.
Another strategy for cellular repair is all about our body's own regeneration crew, our stem cells. These are the master cells that are supposed to repair and maintain all our tissues. But as we get older, we just have fewer of them, and the ones we do have just don't work as well. That's a huge reason why we don't bounce back from things as quickly when we're older.
So, what happens if we replenish them? Well, the results are just stunning. Stem cell therapies can kickstart tissue regeneration and calm down that chronic, low-grade inflammation that comes with aging. In animal studies, this actually extended the lifespan of rats by over 31%. And we're not just talking about rats here.
Clinical trials in frail, elderly humans have shown that stem cell treatments can lead to real, measurable improvements in how well they can move and function.
Okay, the science is just moving at a dizzying pace. We're talking organ generation, zombie cell assassins, stem cell rejuvenation. It's all incredibly exciting. But we have to press pause for a second and ask a really critical question. If we actually succeed, what kind of world are we creating?
Because if millions, maybe billions of people suddenly start living to 150, we run headfirst into a monumental ethical and logistical crisis. And the biggest, most obvious one of them all? Severe, and I mean potentially catastrophic overpopulation.
Just how bad could it get? Well, I want you to look at this number. 3 times. That's the potential multiplier effect of radical life extension on the human population, even under conditions you really wouldn't expect.
So here's the stunning part. Demographers ran the numbers. They modeled a population with a low birth rate, the kind of population that should be shrinking. But they found that if those same people live to be 150, the population doesn't shrink. It triples, right? Fewer people are being born, but because people aren't dying for a much, much longer time, the total number of humans on the planet just explodes.
This absolutely terrifying projection leads us to a deeply controversial solution that's being proposed by bioethicists. It's a solution that would force all of humanity to make this unprecedented trade-off, a choice between what we want as individuals and what the collective needs to survive.
The policy is called forced choice, and it is every bit as intense as it sounds. The idea is, if you want to get the therapies that will let you live to 150, you would have to legally agree to limit the number of children you can have. You are literally forced to choose a longer life or your reproductive freedom.
So the dilemma it creates is just stark. Option 1, you get decades of extra healthy life, but you give up the right to have as many children as you want. Option 2, you live a normal lifespan, but you keep your complete reproductive freedom. It's a choice between two of the most fundamental human desires imaginable.
The whole debate over a policy like this really centers on a classic philosophical idea called the harm principle. It basically says the government can only limit your personal liberty to stop you from harming other people. So the question is, does creating a population crisis count as harming others? Or is the government limiting your right to have children the greater harm? It forces us to try and weigh two totally different kinds of harm against each other.
And this is pretty much where we stand right now. Our scientific power to manipulate our own lifespan is advancing way faster than our ability to answer the profound moral and social questions that come with it. We might soon have the power to live to 150, but we have absolutely no consensus on what that means for us as a society or even as a species.
So that leaves a final, very personal question for you to think about. If you were actually presented with that choice, a radically longer life with some serious strings attached, or a normal life with total freedom, which one would you pick? What's more valuable to you? More time or more freedom?